Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a fantastic day, and above all else, that you're indeed looking after yourselves and one another. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I am joined by my good friend Ken Cheshire. How's it going, Ken?
Going well, Armando. Glad to be back with you.
Glad that you're here. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are bringing you an album spotlight, and this is the album in the spotlight. Ladies and gentlemen, we bring to you the debut and only release from BuckinghamNicks. This has been in the works for quite a while, and I'll show you the inlay of the album, the cover. Sorry, as I do my bit here. Again, forgive the stubby fingers, ladies and gentlemen. But there you have it. Um,
And
this
liner
release,
notes with lyrics.
liner notes with lyrics and etc. This album, what the hell? I'll show you the back of it as well.
Yep.
This album, ladies and gentlemen, originally released on September 5th, 1973, through Polydor Records. The one and only release from Lindsey Buckingham and one Stephanie Stevie Nicks as a duo. They originally came together in school, in college, and were in a band previously called Fritz. And the two decided to go off and start their own music career. The original release, again, released on Polydor Records. The album was produced by one Keith Olsen, who would also go on to work with Fleetwood Mac in the future. Um, the album has been reissued on Rhino Records, released on September 19th, 2025, with a total playing time of 35 minutes and 58 seconds. 10 tracks in total. And the rumor goes is that Mick Fleetwood was in um, in California looking for studios to record the band's next album. The producer at the time, I guess Keith Olsen, played him the track "Frozen Love," which is featured as a 10th track on the album, and just to let him hear what what the sonics were like for the recording. And Mick Fleetwood was so interested and intrigued by the guitar playing that he wanted to talk to Lindsey Buckingham and about joining Fleetwood Mac. And Lindsey Buckingham said, "Well, if you want me, uh, my girlfriend and I are a package deal. You got me, you got my girlfriend as well." And they met up at a Mexican restaurant. Uh, the four of them, Mick Fleetwood, I was going to say Fleetwood Mac, Mick Fleetwood, John McVie, Christy McVie, and Lindsey Buckingham had dinner and a conversation. And Stevie Nicks would join them shortly after her shift ended as a cocktail waitress at the restaurant she was working at. And the rest is history. But today we're talking about the debut release of BuckinghamNicks. Now, Ken, what is your opinion of this album, knowing that it's been around and made available for since the early 2000s in bootleg form? What is your view of this release?
I've bought this several times in its bootleg form. I can honestly say this is my favorite Fleetwood Mac album. Um,
I can see that.
um, Even the bootlegs were of pretty good sound quality, um, even though they weren't sourced from the original tapes. They were usually vinyl rips, but yes, hats off to the bootleggers because they did a good job.
Hmm.
But we've been waiting for this to come out um, for such a long time, and I've got very mixed feelings, not about the album itself, um, but of Rhino's release of it. It's a very bare bones package.
It is.
Um, there were other tracks they could have included in here. Um, and the sleeve is just a light cardboard sleeve.
Yeah.
However, um, the sound is fantastic. The sound is really fantastic on this.
Yes.
Um, I've always considered this, and rightfully so. This album is basically, at the time, a resume of Lindsey Buckingham's guitar prowess. Um, just each song just focuses and highlights a different aspect of his playing.
Hmm.
Uh, I've never been a big Stevie Nicks fan, but I do like the chemistry on this a lot. Um,
Hmm.
I do like her vocals on this a lot. As she's gotten older, her singing is still very distinct, but but she's lost some of the gentleness and the fluidity in her voice. It comes off a little bit harsh,
The
a little bit harder
innocence.
now these
The-
days. And we'll talk about that on one of these tracks in particular. Yeah, but 10 excellent tracks. They recorded this at the legendary Sound City Studios in Van Nuys. Um,
Mhm.
and by the way, there's a wonderful documentary out there. I believe it's called Sound City of this legendary studio.
I have it on
You know,
Blu-ray.
yeah, it's a wonderful documentary, and to really discover all the incredible classic albums that were recorded here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see um, Mick Fleetwood, checking out studios and say, hey, well, here, let me show this off, and playing a couple of tracks off of this. Supposedly, he also played Crystal, for Nick Fleetwood too. I don't know if that's true or
Okay.
not.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I love this. There's only one. Um, I don't want to say it's a bad track, but there's one on here that is for me. It's kind of like, but the rest of them, for various reasons, are just wonderful. I feel there's only one song for me that feels like it's a quote unquote Fleetwood Mac track, even though stylistically several of these could have easily been. Um,
Which
but
song?
they're
Wait,
just
which one is that? Which song?
that could have been the Don't Let Me Down Again. To me, that felt like that could have been a
Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac track.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, but several others, Crying in the Night, Without a Leg, a lot of the others easily could have been, but but for the other tracks, they do really stand strongly on their own, and I hear these songs as something separate from Fleetwood Mac,
Hmm.
even though I've been listening to Fleetwood Mac since, the White Album. So, um,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah, I've lived with this for a long time, and I'm glad to have, a really good, crisp, remastered copy of this.
Hmm. Yeah. I agree with you. Listening to this album, I've known of this album since like 2003, as a in bootleg form. Yes, I did download a copy, but never really paid attention to it,
Sure.
as most people did at that time. And there was, pardon the pun, rumors that it was going to be as far back as listen to me, as far back as 2012. Like that's so far long ago that even back in 2012, they were asking when is this album going to be released officially, and there was always this ambiguous response. Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I think that this album, I think to a large extent, this is the album, this is the non-existent Fleetwood Mac album because you have all the elements that go into what made Fleetwood Mac all the 70, aka, circa 75 that are in this album. Uh, there are one or two songs that really one in particular that really don't do much for me. Races or Run, which is a Nick's composition. I really don't think that's all right, but it is what
Hmm.
it is.
Hmm.
The you know I think that the harmonies between Nick's and Buckingham on this album are exemplary. Uh, they did have um, a guitarist, Wally, was it Watchell? Is his name?
Watchel, yeah.
Watchell,
Waddy
who
Watchel. Hmm.
Wally Wancho, sorry, who provided guitar on this production, and he would go on to work with Stevie Nicks as live as a guitarist for her shows, and would work on her albums, solo albums, and would also become her musical director
Yeah,
for her career. So they've had a wonderful, productive, long relationship. Songs that stand out for me are Crying in the Night, which is a good way to start off the album.
very good
Uh,
open.
I do like the two instrumentals, Stephanie and the Django. I do think that those two little small interludes at 2 minutes each, 2 minutes plus each, add a nice little respite for the listener. Crystal, I think that this version of Crystal, which this was the only song to survive to make it onto the Fleetwood Mac White album. I think that you and I were talking before the taping that to me this version has more musical instrumentation, more elements to it that are more strong, more prominent in the mix. I think that the Fleetwood Mac version sounds a little bit too ethereal to me, a little more
Yeah,
stripped down, a little too ethereal.
yeah.
More airy and not fairy. But
Mhm.
in terms of that production, I do hear the one song Lola that's on here. I can't get over that. Lola, the instrumentation on that. There's a little acoustic guitar section, a little bit on Lola that comes in the intro. You hear that in the chain.
You caught it. Yes. You caught that too. Yeah,
I caught that. Uh,
absolutely.
and the song is called Lola, My Love. I'm sorry. But I do hear the little acoustic
It's
guitar, little
definitely
little
there.
passage in there that would eventually make it onto the chain. So there are elements in this album that work as a Fleetwood Mac that would constitute this being the missing Fleetwood Mac album. Like when you hear the song that starts off side two, "Don't Let Me Don't Let Me Down Again." I'm hearing secondhand news
Yeah.
from
Yes.
rumors. I
Yes.
think that as a debut one-off release, I think that this album is strong. I think you can hear the musicality and Lindsey Buckingham's playing, who also plays, along with guitars, plays bass and percussion on this album. So he was a triple threat then, and
Mhm.
I think that his vocals, again with Stevie Nicks, blend beautifully. Their vocals tended to wrap around one another and melt into one another, and
Yeah.
this was when Stevie Nicks' vocals still have that innocence to me in her
Yeah.
vocal approach. The track that I think has a lot of daring on it is Frozen Love.
Epic.
The 7 minute plus 7 minutes and 16 seconds. The instrumentation, the fact that they use strings on the breakdown section, and it goes into an extended guitar solo from Buckingham. Possibly Marty Walshall's in there too, but the fact that Buckingham is there, and it's you can hear his prowess on the guitar and his expertise on this instrument. It is wonderful. It is wonderful. I think had they taken, along with Crystal, taken maybe Don't Let Me Down Again and you know Frozen Love, and maybe replaced a couple of songs from the Fleetwood Mac White album, I think they would have had a stronger Fleetwood Mac album. But that's neither here nor there right now. That's hindsight is always 2020. But I think that uh, as a standalone debut release, I think that this is a fantastic album.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
I think it has merit. I think it has legs to it, and the packaging is flimsy. Let's let's address that. The packaging is flimsy. I think that this deserved more respect than a gatefold album, cardboard album release, where if I even try to go in and grab the CD to pull it out,
Yeah,
I'm gonna rip the cover.
yeah.
You all know my opinion on that, you sons of bitches from the record companies. But I think that overall, um, I think that this album is simply wonderful. I think it's, you know, what would you change on this if you could change anything?
Oh boy. I don't know that I would. The interesting thing about Buckingham's guitar work on this, there's only two songs with a with an electric guitar solo. You think of something that's guitar driven, you think about a bunch of guitar solos, but there's only two songs that have a guitar solo, even though there are two guitar instrumentals. That's different. But one of the nice things that I really enjoy about this remaster is you can hear much clearer the layers of
Yeah,
instrumentation that's laying down. You mentioned um, "Races Are Run" or is not your particular favorite track, but that song in particular, there are so many little small subtle guitar parts in here. There's probably at least four tracks of guitar in this, and some of it's just little flourishes here and there.
yeah.
Every 6 bars or 9 bars or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, the um, let's see, races. Yeah, Stevie Nicks wrote this song. I find her songwriting very interesting in the chord progressions that she uses, and this
Hmm.
is one of those songs. Um, I love. This is one of the songs in which they both share lead vocals. They switch in and out seamlessly.
Yeah,
It's just wonderful. Stevie Nicks takes the lead vocals in the chorus, and then when they come into the verse, Buckingham takes the lead, and she's singing harmony. Then you get into the second chorus, which is totally harmonized. It's just there's just really so many subtle layers in these songs. It's just amazing,
hmm,
and his guitar work and arrangements and productions are very very full without being overwhelming.
yeah,
Because there are virtually no keyboards in this album at all. And then you get to, like you said, you get to Frozen Love, the closing track. And this track just takes everything that they've done on the previous nine and just multiply it by five. Um, it is wide range in scope as far as composition and arrangement.
yeah,
It's got several independent sections that just take you through a linear musical
Journey.
line. Yeah, a journey.
Yeah.
It's multi-sectioned. It's got, like you said, the orchestra. It's only the second of the um, songs that actually, like I said, has a purely electric guitar solo, which is blistering. It's wonderful. They share again the lead vocals in
Yep.
this,
Yep.
along with full harmonies, and I could easily see how it would catch Mick Fleetwood's attention, because in some ways they didn't accomplish the same thing until they did the chain in Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
And but yeah, all of the elements are there, and you don't re one doesn't realize how much um, uh, Nix and Buckingham influenced Fleetwood Mac
Had. Yeah.
until you've listened to this album.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, oh, wow. They weren't just filling in, for a guitar player and kept on going. Um, uh, you know, so uh, so yeah, this album just really does have it all. I'm not that big on Lola My Love in general. Yeah, I definitely picked up on that intro that is
Yeah.
so much like the intro to The Chain. Um, it does show off his slide guitar playing, which is very good,
Yeah.
but it's a fun track, but it's basically California swamp rock, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it's good for what it is. Just for me, it doesn't stand up, to the others. Django is a lovely little tip of the hat to um, Django Reinhardt, who
Okay.
he really
Django.
does really love and admire. But oh yeah, I mean you've got, and I agree with Crystal. This is to me the definitive. It's because the one on the Fleetwood Mac album, honestly, I keep forgetting it's even there. It's just so,
Well,
it's too understated. And
yeah.
actually, I went and listened to Stevie Nicks' solo version of Crystal, and this still skunks her solo version that she
Okay.
did later on.
Okay.
Um, I mean, that's just me. It's just my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
Um, the second track, Stephanie, is a wonderful instrumental.
Yeah.
Again, showing off his guitar chops.
Hmm.
Stephanie, of course, was uh, Stevie Nicks' name.
Birth
Um,
name. Birth
and
name.
it's yeah, and it's
Mm.
just his little love song to her, and it's just wonderful. I love the way that Without a Leg to Stand On, track three is really great. And there are some telltale rhythmic and syncopated rhythms, within Buckingham songs, and also a lot of Stevie Nicks songs too. And this really does shine in this song.
Yeah.
Really nice. This is just to me, this is just a feel good album. It does rock, but generally it's a little bit somewhat laid back, but not unlike Fleetwood Mac albums.
Yeah.
So
It's listed as a folk rock album.
yeah,
I wouldn't go that far. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's a pop album per se because it does rock out. Um, I would say folk rock and like so you
yeah,
have the gentleness of the acoustic guitar pieces, but you also have the heaviness of heavy guitars and in terms of the rock portion of the album. So I think it's a good mix.
sure.
It's a good mix.
I think Long Distance Winter is one of the standout tracks. Um, s- Somewhat biographical, a Stevie Nicks song that they decided at some point that she was going to work to support them while he focused on his guitar.
Yeah.
And so, she was the cocktail waitress.
She was a
She also
cleaning
was
lady. Yeah.
cleaning lady for the producer.
Yeah.
And so, she worked to support, and so that's basically the theme for this. And this is the first of the two songs that features, a really great electric guitar solo.
Yeah.
So this really does. This could have also been a Fleetwood Mac song, but
Yeah.
like I said, I've been listening to this album so long. I don't compare this to Fleetwood Mac because it's its own entity, and rightfully so. There's a
Yeah.
reason why
Yeah.
it's always been in demand since it was
Yeah.
originally released, and
Well,
why there are so many bootlegs of it out there.
I have known of this album since 2002. Like,
Mhm.
I've downloaded it and listened to it, but I really didn't give it that much attention. And then when it came up again, being re-released officially, because they were advertising this, they were putting billboards
Billboards in LA.
up in LA about this, and people are like, "Oh, is it a new Fleetwood?" Teasing, "Oh, is it a new Fleetwood Mac album?" No, it's this album. And I think, again, this is the album that Fleetwood Mac should have made maybe at some point.
Yeah,
Let me ask you this. I mean, it was released through Polydor originally, a solid, large record label with good distribution reach. Why do you think that this album didn't do as well or was seen as a, because it reached, I believe, in the top 30 on
yeah,
Billboard, like
yeah.
38. So
And
why do you,
they did tour it. They did
they
tour it
did,
because
they
Waddy
did
Watchell
tour it.
traveled with them
They did tour it. So
when they toured it.
why do you think it was looked at as a commercial failure?
Um, it may have it may have something to do with what else was being released at the time.
Hmm.
Um, kind of like the way that movies are. No matter how good your movie is, if you're released the same weekend as E.T. or Jaws,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna.
Okay. Good luck.
And I haven't looked to see what else was coming out at the time. Um, uh, and it might have been,
Well,
yeah, the promotion of Polydor might have been it. It might have been have something to do with how it was marketed, as far as if they marketed it as kind of
yeah.
folk rock.
Yeah.
We've talked about huge marketing faux pas, like we talked about the debut album from Heart, for instance.
Yeah.
Record
Yeah.
companies just, you leave it to executives, you just don't know.
What they're doing.
Seems like
Yeah.
the odds of it getting promoted correctly are
Yeah.
against you,
Yeah. Two points to make. Stevie Nicks does not like the cover
right?
of the album.
She was in tears. Yeah,
She didn't want to pose nude for the cover, because she is nude on the cover, but she's obviously strategically placed and covered.
yes, right.
You know, apparently she was in tears, and Lindsey Buckingham told her, "You're being ridiculous. This is art. This is not pornographic." And she was like, "Well, it's not you being flashed out there like I am." So I mean,
Yeah,
and also thinking about the albums that were released around this time, 1973, you're looking at Dark Side of the Moon in March. You're looking at Selling England by the Pound. You're looking at Queen that would release their debut album a week later, September 13th. Lars Tongue Aspic from King Crimson. So you're looking at a bunch of these albums, Starless and Bible Black, that came out around this time. So the competition was massive.
sure.
Elton John, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah,
You know, uh,
in particular within other genres.
yeah,
The early days of these other genres that were not uh, as popular.
Yeah, yeah. And the only contemporary album that I could compare this to in terms of the genre would be Goodbye Yellow Brick Road in
Yeah,
terms of, pop rock or folk rock. But you also had Tales of Topographic Oceans. So you had all these albums that were coming out. Uh, you know, one more, Billion Dollar Babies
yeah.
from Alice Cooper.
Okay, okay,
So,
yeah.
I mean, stop me before I say it again. It's
It was interesting. I think I read that this was album was incredibly popular um, in Alabama for some reason.
Taka, that's local. That's regional. I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, because this is obviously, this is a California artist.
yeah,
So why in Alabama? Who knows?
yeah,
But
yeah,
it just goes to show you just never know what's going to catch and what's not. But yeah, that's a lot of hefty competition
yeah,
in in because it sounds like Prague wasn't in its early infancy. It was probably reaching peak level at that time.
yeah, yeah. This was when Prague was at its ultimate um, opulence in terms of the over-the-top
Yeah.
productions and
Oh
the
yeah.
touring. Yeah. I tend to think that had they continued along this vein in Fleetwood Mac and not have the drama overtake what was going on musically, I think that they would have gone on longer. I
Sure.
think, but I do think that this album, um, call it the missing Fleetwood Mac album, call it the album that Fleetwood Mac should have made. I do think that this is a very strong album.
I'd like to step into a magic machine into an alternate universe to see where they would have gone if they hadn't joined Fleetwood Mac. Could they have um, uh, continued along this line? Because it's arguable because the Fleetwood Mac album, the White Album, was quite successful. Now, obviously,
3 million
the top
sold,
would
yeah,
be blown off with rumors, but if they could have maintained this quality without that incredible pressure from the industry and the just sudden stratospheric stardom,
yeah,
because I'm sure that played an incredible uh, part in the dynamic and the
yeah.
falling apart in the band.
True enough.
But I think it was probably somewhat inevitable because from all I've read, the personalities between Nix and Buckingham were very different. He was a perfectionist, um, uh, too much so, arguably. And Nix liked to just kind of, you know, take it as it comes and just off the cuff and whatever. And those two attitudes rarely gel.
Yeah,
So
like oil and water. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, so it probably was just a matter of time.
yeah,
And whereas I recognize both of their contributions to music and the level of their musicianship is fantastic.
yeah,
A lot of what I've read about both of them has not been uh, particularly enduring,
yeah,
personality wise.
yeah,
So aside from, you know, their friction between the two of them. So,
yeah, yeah.
but I don't.
Yeah, I have my own opinion of Stevie Nicks as of late. I could see Lindsey Buckingham being a bit of a perfectionist. I don't say that that's necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, I it would be interesting to see how things would have progressed without the drama, the public drama that ensued.
Yeah,
Uh, I mean, yeah, anyways, but it is a good album. So here you are, ladies and gentlemen. Again, another flash of the album.
recommended, highly
Buckingham
recommended.
Nicks. Please tell us in the comments below your opinion of this album. Is this the missing Fleetwood Mac album? Is this the album that Fleetwood Mac were probably meant to make? What could have been if they had the musical contributions and input from Mick Fleetwood, John McVie, and Christine McVie? Or have we missed the boat completely? Let us know your opinion down below. Again, no wrong answers, just opinion. So I want to thank Ken for joining me on another insightful episode on the Music Den. And please click like and subscribe, and do hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content we got coming up. We've got a show coming up on Bob Dylan, discussing the, I would say, musical evolution of Bob Dylan over 3 albums. Sagosh is joining me on that, and more videos to come as soon as we can get them to you, along with Ken, Sagosh, Jim Bricker, and Bill Schuster, who are both taking a bit of a sabbatical right now, but they're going to be back with us soon. So again, please look after yourselves and one another, and we'll see you soon on the Music Den. Bye for now.